After many years of diligent pursuit by veterans in the broadcast industry, history was made on Tuesday, December the 13th, when the first batch of inductees were sworn in as members of the Society of Nigerian Broadcasters, SMB, at Channels Television's global headquarters here in Lagos. The Society of Nigerian Broadcasters is to, among other things, coordinate, set standards, admit, and issue certificates of practice to all professional broadcasters in the country. That ceremony is our focus on this episode of the program. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jeffrey Uzongo.
Journalism is a profession saddled with the activity of gathering, assessing, creating, and presenting news and information. Journalism began as a print media and remained as such until the invention of radio and television in the 20th century. The print media is presented in written form via newspapers and magazines laced with pictures, illustrations, or graphics. Broadcast journalism provides information over radio, television, and now the internet. The birth for unionism in the profession was linked to the struggle for the independence of Nigeria. There were many protest groups, all yearning for the country's independence from the British. However, many of the journalists then had little education. With the ideas brought by their more enlightened colleagues, they began to agitate for a better pay package from publishers. The young journalists began peer reviewing their quest for better condition of service. This is what gave rise to the founding of Nigerian Union of Journalists (NUJ) on the 15th of March 1955 in Lagos. The union focuses on organizing and supporting campaigns aimed at protecting journalists' rights and strengthening collective agreements. NUJ was founded during the Nigerian struggle for independence from British rule, and it is affiliated to the Nigeria Labour Congress. 67 years down the line, the union grew stronger, defending the rights of journalists across the country. As the industry evolved, the need for a body to serve as a think tank on matters relating to broadcasting while maintaining close liaison with similar societies or associations across the world inspired the idea and effort at establishing a body for professionals in the broadcast space, known as the Society of Nigerian Broadcasters (SMB) by the late Ambassador Segun Olushola in 1962. This well-thought-out idea was handed over to Ambassador Yemi Farumbi in 1978. 16 years after, the society was duly registered with the Corporate Affairs Commission with headquarters at the Nigerian Television Authority, Victoria Island, Lagos. Based on recommendations, the society was transferred to the Broadcasting Organization of Nigeria in 2013 to help nurture the organization, which serves as a platform and source of inspiration for both serving and retired broadcasters. And in realization of a long-time aspiration, this year 2022, in conjunction with the Broadcasting Organization of Nigeria, BON, the first batch of inductees as members of the Society of Nigerian Broadcasters (SMB) were sworn in across Abuja and Lagos. Broadly, the Society of Nigerian Broadcasters has different categories of membership, including the Fellowship of the Society, to be conferred only by SMB in conjunction with BON. Full membership attracts a minimum of 10 years post-qualification experience in broadcast or lecturing in communications-related courses, while a minimum of 5 years post-qualification experience in broadcasting/lecturing in communication-related courses is required for you to be an associate member. While at the student level, an applicant needs a minimum of 5 years post-qualification experience in broadcasting/lecturing in communications-related courses. Rising from the 77th Annual General Meeting of the Broadcasting Organization of Nigeria (BON) and media executives from both the public and private sectors in Abuja, broadcasters reconvene at the same venue for an important professional event. It's the induction of the first batch of members into the Society of Nigerian Broadcasters. The chairman of BON, Mr. John Ugbe, explains that the aim of the society is to strengthen journalism profession and harness media practice in the country.
Working very hard with the National Assembly to get the bill passed, and I believe before the end of this National Assembly we'll be able to achieve that. We cannot be the only set of professionals without a proper professional body, and it's only right. We are the ones that actually even carry the news and talk about the others. So it's only right that we should have our own body. And I'm very proud to see that today we'll be, having an induction with members properly in our profession. And also have our founding fathers mentor us through, this entire process.
The chairman of the occasion, Dr. Yemi Farumbi, highlights that if the society is signed into law, journalism profession will be respected and treated with dignity.
Every profession must be based on knowledge, organized into a body of theory, comprising the profession's focus of interest. The preparation to practice must also be intellectual as well as practical. Certainly, broadcasting in Nigeria has met this criteria. That broadcasting embodies a body of theory, intellectualism, and practical experience is confirmed by the recent recognition by the National Universities Commission of broadcasting as a distinct academic discipline in the unbundling of mass communication into 7 various disciplines. So I think we are right to begin to think that we are professional because we have a body of knowledge and we have a body of practice. Greenwood said too, every profession must be able to exercise over the profession, control over the practitioners. And this can only be done by a professional body vested with authority. Hitherto, this has not been so in Nigeria because there was no approved and recognized professional body existing to exercise control over the individual broadcasters. The search for such a body started as far back as 1962. And how did it start? The then Nigerian television services that became NBC TV and that became, I don't know whether it's NTA Lagos or NTA Network Center, but that became part of NTA. They invited the Syracuse University to come and organize training for their staff and also to conduct an audience survey for them. At the end of the training, all of them who took part in the training thought there was a need to have a professional body. Led by Segun Olushola, they tried to form what they call the National Association of Broadcasters. That would have been something like NAB that they used to have that they have in US. Thank you. But unfortunately, the National Association of Broadcasters, they wanted to form, floundered and didn't succeed. But then came NTA, and Segun Olushola was made the zonal director. It wasn't zonal director. They were called managing directors. If I remember well, at the beginning, the managing director Zone A, and I was general manager in Ibadan. And he told me about this effort of his in 1962. I think this was 1979. And we thought it was worth looking at to have not a National Association of Broadcasters, but a society of Nigerian broadcasters. The power to license, the power for professional licensing through definition of minimum criteria for entering the profession in terms of education, experience, and apprenticeship. This can only be done by a professional body for broadcasters. It is an exercise of such power that the NCMB is doing today. And that is why you are being licensed today to practice the art and the science of broadcasting. Compliance with these ethical codes by individual members can only be enforced by the professional body. These codes represent individual responsibility, not organizational responsibility.
The guest speaker at the event speaks on the challenges confronting the broadcast industry and also provides solutions on how to address them.
We need to manage broadcast stations for so many reasons. I've listed some here for you. The first is that broadcasting is a 24-hour business. It's a non-stop operation. And if you don't want it to stop, you have to manage it. If you don't manage it, it can stop. And it can stop over a very minute thing, like diesel finished. And your generator is off, NEPA is off, the station is off. So you have failed. If it's a non-stop operation. And if you know what some of those of us on this side of the table, well, what we were told in those days, that when your program fails, it's the same thing as when a doctor's patient dies. Your program must never fail. And so if it must never fail, the system has to be managed. The man who is in the plant room has to have an assistant. The diesel has to be always there. Otherwise, you have beautiful programs that a stop in transmission completely kills. And that's why we must manage broadcasting. The second reason is that broadcasting is predicated on structural interdependence. The different structures of broadcasting are interdependent. The content producers, for example, they need the technical people in order for their facilities to be okay. For your cameras to work, for your vehicles to move, you need other people to help you do your job. So that interdependence makes it necessary for management to occur. Because when there's a head of content and there's a head of technical, the two can relate and ensure that there's seamless operation. A third point is inseparable and interrelated assignments. We go to our favorite area, news. You cannot produce news before you gather it. You have to gather it. You have to produce it before you present it. Therefore, for news to come, the reporter, the producer, and the presenter are inseparable. They're interrelated,
The high
and
point
they
of
must
the
be
event
seen
was the
not
induction
only to
ceremony
work
of
together,
members in Abuja.
there must be synergy, which the manager is supposed to ensure happens.
Down from the nation's capital, attention shifts to Lagos, where veterans and successor generation of broadcasters converge on Channels Television's global headquarters for a second leg of the induction of members into the Society of Nigerian Broadcasters.
Are very revered elders in the industry.
Veterans in the auditorium weighing on critical issues on how best to maintain standards while making compelling arguments for self-regulation in broadcasting profession.
The only professional body mentioned in the Nigerian Constitution, 1979 and later, is really what we are celebrating here today. The Nigerian media man and woman, the Nigerian broadcaster. They were charged by the Constitution of this country to hold the powerful to account. We should consider a situation in which the regulation of the practice, regulation of the profession of broadcasting is in the hands of broadcasters themselves. That is called self-regulation by those who know what it is, what is the right thing to do. You're being regulated by a body that is not required to be competent in broadcasting, and that is acting on behalf of the powerful, whom you are supposed to hold to account. So there seems to be something wrong there. I'm suggesting that the Society of Nigerian Broadcasters properly be a self-regulating body. That is a trend these days. I belong to the Nigerian Society of Engineers, and the regulator of the Nigerian Society of Engineers is the Minister of Works, called the regulator, Koren. But Koren is domiciled in the Ministry of Works. And here I can say something about this kind of arrangement. I don't know how many years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, the Ministry of Aviation was going to carry out some repair work on the Abuja runway. And they were going to suspend flights into Abuja, in and out of Abuja. In the meantime, the Nigerian Society of Engineers had done some work and has advised that it's possible to do the repairs while the runways were kept open because of the way runways are built in the first place.
It becomes very essential that broadcasters are trained. It becomes very essential because it is important that when we have broadcasters, there is a way you have to judge broadcasters, somebody who is fit to be in that place and broadcasting. Before now, I think the various bodies, institutions, it could be channels, it could be NTA, use whatever standard appeal to them. But I think broadcasting, it is long overdue that we started an institute for broadcasters. When we start an institute for broadcasters, then there is going to be a standard. A standard. I know we have a country where things are difficult. When you have a standard, then we'll have what we call, dressing code. As at now, I don't know if we have dressing code for broadcasters. Depends on what part of the country you are, depends on where you are. You put on anything and you come onto the stage. In some cases you see broadcasters, they look like masquerades. I think it's high time we started a school of broadcasters. And when you start a school of broadcasters, then things like judging people for promotion and so on is going to be quite, critically looked at. And I think then the good broadcasters will get a good reward for their work. So that struck me very much, and I thought indeed this Society of Nigerian Broadcasters is long overdue.
This applause is to welcome the keynote speaker and chairman of Channels Media Group, Dr. John Momoh. He speaks on the challenges, prospects, and professionalism in media industry.
There's need for us to ensure that broadcasters and broadcasting organizations promote peace, development, and harmonious coexistence, while also putting the culture of the people on the front burner. The SMB, the Society of Nigerian Broadcasters, has been long in coming, as you heard, since it was registered by the Corporate Affairs Commission on March the 3rd of 1994 by leading lights of the industry such as Ambassador Farumbi, Alhaji Michika, Mr. Ndaguba, and Mr. Kolawole Babatunde. So today's event is a welcome development, and we at Channels are very proud to be part of the Society of Nigerian Broadcasters. It is indeed a great pleasure to be called upon to deliver the keynote for this momentous occasion, the second induction ceremony of the Society of Nigerian Broadcasters. And it's a gathering that comes at a critical moment when the broadcast industry, our industry, And indeed, the media is going through fast changing times with attendant industry challenges and opportunities. It is obvious that the digital age has led to massive disruption in its sector of the business. And as a result of these changes, content creators are one step closer to the audiences, which now wield greater power in determining what is served by the media. The role we play as broadcast journalists and media men, where statistics show that increasingly a greater population of our people now draw a greater influence and draw a greater percentage of their information and inspiration from other sources than the broadcast media, is an invitation for us to stop, think, rethink, and reflect on the disruptive digital phenomenon sweeping our industry so that we can discern the next steps forward in the complex space of the art of broadcasting, if we aren't already doing so. Today's induction ceremony offers another review opportunity, further justified by this keynote, broadcasting and the new media landscape,
as well as the imperative of innovative thinking.
The best way to predict the future is to invent it. So for broadcasters, the best way for us to invent the future is to invent, adapt, and innovate to stay ahead of the curve. And make no mistake about it, connected television is here to stay, and it will prosper. So it's down to us in this room to invent the future. Our industry and the media landscape have changed irretrievably. Therefore, we must invest in technology, in people, and in content, and the development of content. For the digitization process must be focused and the rollout must be sustainable. And we need to work together as true progressive professionals to drive the change we want to see. It's either we change with the time or we shall become dinosaurs to be consigned to the slow world of analog experience. We shouldn't let that happen to us.
In those days. And also a former general manager of Ogun State Television, OGTV.
The program then breaks into a panel discussion following the brilliant and insightful presentation of Dr. John Momo. The panelists drawn from different media share their thoughts on the various issues affecting media practice in Nigeria.
There are still standards to be observed, and I do believe that it's like they say in Yoruba, that is what basically you have said about John Momo. And that is what I can say about Engineer Vincent Maduka. Way back then, in the hot days of NPN and so on and so forth, NPN, UPN, we used to call him the Nelson Mandela of NTA. Because even the politicians were afraid of him. In fact, I've seen him smile more this morning than I saw him smile throughout the time that he was DG.
The practitioners of nowadays, from Dr. John Momo's address, they're not getting it right. I don't think so. The way licenses are given to people to run stations, the process of recruitment, you know, it's either you are the in-law of the owner of the license or you are the junior brother or something. That's all the qualification. No, those things are bound to cause disruptions. That's the way I look at it.
Putting the people first is like saying audience is the king. That we need to meet the needs of the audience. And the needs is now different from what it used to be. They are more demanding. They're asking for high quality picture, high quality content, And that's what he's saying. To be able to achieve that, this kind of body is necessary.
May all inductees please rise.
After the sessions, inductees are then sworn in as members.
I, your name,
Olalekan Ajia,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
or affirm
with a promise to continue to uphold standards and protect the dictates of the profession and the society.
in the discharge of my duties.
as exercise may be required in the discharge of my duties.
So help me God.
So help me God.
And if you are freely sworn, please insert your name, today's date, and sign. The secretariat shall come and take all of this, co-sign, and return to you.
Certificates are presented to new members, marking a stage of new beginning for this batch as they are welcome to the family of broadcasters in Nigeria. Over 400 members have been inducted as registered members. The Society of Nigerian Broadcasters now has members from over 20 states in Nigeria and registered members from over 40 private and public broadcast media houses across the country.
Well, congratulations to all my fellow inductees and prospective inductees. And that's it on this episode of the program. Thanks for your time. And of course, your usual company, I'm Jeffrey Uzongo.